So today we're going to look at the absolute necessities to go ice fishing. Hey everybody, so today I'm going to show you the absolute necessities to go ice fishing. First of all, to get out on the ice, you might need something like these. We call these ice creepers. They have little spikes on them. These go right on the bottom of your boot, and they keep you from falling because the ice is, of course, very slippery and you will fall and hurt yourself. They make a bunch of these. You can buy them in pretty much any place that sells ice fishing supplies. Also, you'll find them in you'll find them in Walmart and places like that, because if you live up north, you might want these just to get across your driveway. But these spikes dig in. They make all kinds of them. They make them that have much sharper spikes, have more spikes, have spikes on the back heel too. But these work pretty well. If you're from the north like me, you probably know how to use a pair of these. And these are great. If the ice is really good and smooth, you can really move on these. If a tip-up goes off, you can skate to it really quickly, stop really quickly, pull up your fish, and go on to the next fishing hole. Now if there's plenty of snow on the ice, you don't have to worry about it. You can just walk on the snow and you'll be safe. The other thing is you have to be able to make a hole in the ice to drop your line through. This is an ice auger. This is a manual one. It has sharp blades down here. Stick it in the ice, push down on it, and turn, and turn, and turn, and turn. And it works great. If your blades are sharp and you're only going through 6, 8, 10 inches of ice, it's not bad at all. Sorry about the train there. It's also windy out here. I hope this comes out okay. This is pretty portable too. It comes apart, easy to transport. Here in Vermont we can get well over 2 feet of ice, sometimes up to 3. This starts to get very, very, very tiring to start drilling many holes with this. So they do make powered augers, and they make them out of, they make gas powered ones, which is pretty cool, but you spill gas everywhere, and you gotta, usually they're 2 cycles, you gotta mix the oil with them. So if you got a pickup truck or something, that's great. In a car, I can spill gas in my car pretty easily. It gets in the carpet and then it smells like gas forever in your car, so that doesn't work very well. They do make propane ones also, and those are a lot nicer because you don't spill any gas, you don't have to mix the gas, you don't have to carry an extra gas can around with you and try to fill it out in the wind and everything. So that works really nice too. And they have electric ones, rechargeable, and these are great, but these are all very, very expensive. But if you already own one of these, which doesn't cost much, you can get a little thing like this. I want to do a review this year on this thing. I haven't used it yet. It hasn't even been out of the package, as you can see. $26.99 is the price tag on the back of this. What you do with this is this attaches to one of these. So if you have one of these, that's going to go right in here, and you drill your hole with this. And I've seen it done. It seems to work pretty well. I imagine you have to have a fairly high torque drill. I don't know how much, and I don't know what the torque is on this. Hopefully it'll work great. But they say you need an 18 volt or more. This is the 20. My main concern with this is a 1.3 amp hour battery. I can't imagine you're going to be able to drill a heck of a lot of holes through 3 feet of ice with that. So I do have 2 batteries. I'll have them charged before I go, but I might have to invest in a 4 or 5 amp hour battery. Now once you've drilled that hole, you pull that auger out, a bunch of snow falls into it, makes a bunch of slush. So you need one of these guys. It's just a little ladle. You dip it in the hole, take it out, dump it, and you get all that slush out. Also, it could be snowing, the wind can blow snow into it. It starts to freeze eventually, and you'll have to break the ice with this and then scoop that out. This particular one has a measuring stick on it, which is kind of nice. You can measure your fish with it. You can also dip and see how deep the ice is. This only goes to 19 inches though. I'm usually drilling through more ice. Now you're vertically jigging, so you probably don't want a 7-foot rod out there. So they make these little guys right here. And they make them in different lengths. This is a fairly short one. I think this is a 21 inch or something like that. pretty light line on here. This is probably 2 to 4 pound line because I'm fishing mostly for small panfish and perch with something like this. They make heavier rods for larger fish. These are very, very sensitive, and you can feel little tiny bites on them. And you can hold them like this and jig them. Just jig that little jig just a little tiny bit with this. Or you can give it a good jig, reel it up just like a regular rod. These work pretty well, and you can buy these for as little as 20 bucks for the whole setup. You know, a decent one, you can buy a decent one for about $30, $40. You can also make one. I've seen these plastic and wood for sale in the stores. They're pretty cheap. I made this. You just cut it out. You contour it a little bit here for a better grip. Cut out these ends so you can wrap your line around it. And you just drop your line down in the hole. I have a little eye screw here at the end for the line to go through. It's not as sensitive to bites, and you can't jig it quite as easily. But it's free if you got scrap wood. This obviously doesn't have a reel, so what you do is you yank it, drop it, and start pulling the line hand over hand. Little kids like to hook it and run across the lake screaming, "I got a fish, I got a fish, I got a fish." That's fun to watch. Holes right here. Why are there holes right there? I will show you. This is my homemade tip-up. It's pretty bad looking, but this, you stick in the snow. I have a nail attached to this with a hole through it. Depending on how much weight you have on this, depends on which hole you put that through. But this should balance a little like this. And when a fish grabs it, it goes like that. You run over, you pull the nail out, pull up the fish. This is just a simple homemade tip-up. Very simple. And you can buy something like this. This is already made. This little spool that you keep your reel on goes down into the water. This goes above, right across your hole. And when a fish bites this thing, the flag goes up. And you know you have a fish. You run over, pull this out, yank it up, pull the fish up. These things are $10, $15 a piece, so they're not very expensive, and they fold right up into practically nothing. Now I use a lot of artificial baits, but I also like to use live baits when I'm ice fishing. So instead of going and buying a lot of minnows, I use a minnow trap, and I just make one out of a 2-liter bottle. It's actually two 2-liter bottles. You cut the end off one, then you cut the top off the other. You take that top and glue it in there. Put some breadcrumbs in there, sink this, fish swim in there, can't get out. Pull it back up, of course you attach a rope to it, take the cap off, pour it into your minnow bucket. Free bait. Now you need a minnow bucket. Now you could use a 5-gallon pail or something, it would work, but you got to remember, up here in the winter, it's freezing. These are insulated. Help keep those little fish from freezing to death. Now the cap has a couple of things on it. One's to hold your minnow net. This top just opens up a little. Scoop your minnows out. Start fishing. It's also got another one that a little aerator will clamp onto, and there's a hole here for the hose to go down in, and we'll keep this aerated so you can keep these things for a number of days. Just remember, most places, and I know here in Vermont, you can't take bait from one lake and bring it to another, because if there's anything those fish might have, some type of disease or something, they're going to introduce it to the other lake, and that is illegal. But if you're going to fish in the same lake, you can do it. Another handy thing to have is something like this. This is just a piece of PVC pipe. I cut it at a little bit of an angle so it sticks in the snow a little easier. Got a little groove here cut out. It just holds your rod so that when I'm running over to check a tip up, or getting a cup of hot chocolate or something like that, I don't have to lay this down into the snow and have it get all freezing up. Very simple to make. I use one of these things. A milk crate works great, but this thing folds right up like that. This is what I keep all my rods and rod holder, all my stuff. I can keep all my stuff in here. A simple sled. You can put everything in there, have a rope, and just drag it along with you as you walk out onto the lake. Now they make sleds specifically for ice fishing, and they're much wider, they're much higher, and they would work better. You could hold more stuff in it for sure, but I already own this, and it works good enough for me because I don't have a lot of equipment. Now the bigger ones, sometimes you can even hook up, or they have hookups for your ATV or snowmobile, so you can drag it around in those. And those are great ways to get around the lake. Of course, I don't own one, so I have to walk. Here in Vermont, you can actually go right out there in your vehicle. Drive right out there with your pickup truck and set up a nice ice shelter and go in there and have heat and a stove and cook food and everything else. Must be nice. Now I actually have a separate tackle box for ice fishing. I don't bring as much equipment with me. I don't have a lot of ice fishing equipment. Some of the stuff that I use during the summer goes in here in the winter, but some of the stuff is specialized and only stays in here. One thing everybody should have is a pair of these. Put it right around your neck. Have it on you at all times. Not going to do any good in the tackle box. If you fall through the ice, this will dig into the ice and pull yourself back up onto the ice. And it works. I've seen this on television. I think it was like the Discovery Channel, or it might have even been the Weather Channel. And they were showing, they had professional divers in dry suits so they wouldn't get cold, and they would go into the ice and try to pull themselves back up. And these are guys that are in great shape. None of them could get back up on the ice. Then they used these, no problem. Scooted right up on the ice, absolutely no problem at all. You need a pair of these. Make sure you've got them on. Before I get any farther, I should probably show you what I'm sitting on. This is a 6-gallon bucket, but a 6 or 5-gallon bucket works great. You can put stuff in it, you flip it upside down and sit on it. You could bring a little cushion with you to make it more comfortable, or you can get a little seat like this. You'll find these in most sporting goods stores. They're not very expensive. They're padded, snap right over it, and they spin. They actually spin, so you can sit on it and move around, do different things. Very nice. I know this is camouflage. The reason it's camouflage is I actually use this when I'm turkey hunting. So I just spray painted it like that. And it actually looks pretty good. I've put it out in the woods and set it up and walked away and looked, and it's pretty hard to see. Now again, with ice fishing you're jigging. So you got to have special baits. This is a special little bait. This is a little Rapala. It's got a hook on each end plus a little treble hook. It hooks right here, and when you pull this, it's got a little tail, and it'll kind of swim around in a little bit of a circle. Inline spinners work well, especially one like this. This has that inline blade. This is a Panther Martin, so that when you pull it up, it spins, but when it comes down, that spins also. Here's a little teeny tiny tube. Remember, most of the time I'm fishing for perch and panfish, but you can fish for trout, walleye, pike, bass, whatever. So you can use much larger lures. This is a little darter. This is a popular bait for jigging. Here's a little teeny tiny spoon. I don't know if you can even see that. Little teeny tiny jig. Fish will bite that. You don't have to put anything on it even. I sometimes put a little waxy on it, a little Berkeley Gulp waxy. Berkeley Gulp stuff works really well. I use their waxies and their little curly tail grubs and their minnows. Northland Tackle makes a lot of nice little stuff. These things are cool. These are like little containers that screw together. And you got little tiny soft baits in here. Here's a little teeny tiny, kind of like a fluke. But I've got, there's the minnow, there's bloodworm, some crickets, nymph, some other things in there. A lot of jigs actually glow in the dark. And they come with a charger, which is nothing more than a flashlight. You just shine the light on there a little bit, and bam, they glow in the dark. Here's a little jigging spoon. It looks like a perch. And the back of it glows. So basically that's the real basic stuff that you need. Now you can get shelters and snowmobiles, you can get fish finders that go in the ice, they have flashers, all kinds of crazy things like that. I don't use any of that stuff at the moment. I have a small fish finder that I might rig up sometime to actually use on the ice, but I haven't done that yet. I do want to do a review on the Ice Master. That's the thing that hooks up to your ice auger with the drill. Hopefully I'll do that this year. Hopefully I'll get some ice fishing videos done. I really would like to get out there and do a couple of videos and show you how it's actually done. Now this video is obviously for the beginner. Maybe people have just moved to the north or have never even lived in the north and are thinking of coming up for the winter and maybe going ice fishing for a day. These are just some basic things that you're going to need. So I hope this was helpful to somebody. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please hit like and please subscribe. I really appreciate it if you just hit that subscribe button. It helps me out an awful lot. Thank you. If anybody's got any other ideas or things that I've forgotten that you really do need out there, please leave it in the comments. Thanks for watching.